interest in the trade for CJ. What you like about him that made you guys kind of identify him as somebody you want to trade for?
Yeah, with CJ, the thing that instantly jumps off is just his passion, his intensity for the game, and I love that. And I think it fits right into our style of ball and what we're about. And I think just his veteran presence will also help our younger guy, Kalen Bullock, back there. Kalen's had a really great rookie year, but I think his presence will really improve Kalen's game as well.
Can you tell me anything? I know obviously Nick will be the one that handles all the maneuvers and everything like that, but how did it come about? How did it pop on your radar that he was available?
Yeah, it was Nick, most of that Nick and how he did that, but I got word that it was a possibility that it may happen, and I was definitely fired up about the opportunity to be able to work with CJ. Seeing him do it at a high level in the league for a long time, and Philly's just coming off of the Super Bowl run, seeing his impact that he had on the team, it was really intriguing to me that we could add him to our team.
Do you have questions when a guy has been on five different spots in 5 years?
Yeah, for me, it's always a clean slate. Every guy that comes into our building is always a clean slate. I don't know all the ins and outs of what happened at every spot, and why you're on multiple teams, but to me, it really doesn't matter because I treat everyone the same with respect, open arms. You come into our building, right? It's a fresh start. It's our first time together, and that's how I'll judge it from here moving forward.
What can you tell, Philly, or tell me about Kenyon?
Yeah, Kenyon, he's a really, you're getting a young player. This guy's physical, tough player, physical in the run game. He's a young player who's definitely ascending. Came off some injuries that he's improved. He's worked himself back to get into really good shape, and I think his best ball is still ahead of him.
Is he one of those guys where you just feel a better news environment could benefit him?
I think that's helped a lot of people. You get a new, clean start, new place, new city. I think it's helped a lot of guys, and I'm really hoping that Kenyon can benefit from that.
DeMeco, back to the previous question about Nick. Were you surprised that you all shared so many similarities and when you first met him? Were you surprised that you shared so many similarities?
Yeah, I was surprised that we share a lot of similarities because I'm coming into a new situation where I didn't know Nick previously, and so you don't really know, kind of what you're going into, but the relationship from our interview, from the first moment we interviewed through where we are now is just growing tighter and tighter, and to have that bond and that chemistry and that seeing the game out of the same lens has really been, a huge blessing for me. It's so easy to work with, and that's been a blessing because head coach and GM, as we all seen, if you want to be successful, the head coach and GM have to be in tandem and have to be on the same page, have to be tied together, and we are. And that's what I think everybody sees in our organization, and we don't make a decision without consulting each other. And so it's been really, really cool to work with Nick.
In terms of style of play with Christian Kirk, what do you see from his style at the receiver position? And on that topic, do you feel like there's some guys in the draft that could help you guys potentially?
I see how you slipped that in there, Aaron. I love Christian's just his speed. That's the one thing that jumps out about him. His redeeming trait, he's a fast player, right? He's made a lot of nice plays in the slot, running the deep routes in the slot, or it's the option routes of winning on third down. So I'm excited to see what he brings on third down. I think he can really, open up a lot of options for us on third down, whether that's, especially from the inside position. I think he'll be a friendly target for CJ.
From your perspective, experience with defensive coaches in terms of coming up with a schematic on the offensive side, how do they kind of go about developing that schematic approach? How do, from your perspective, defensive coaches go about developing the offensive scheme?
Defensive coaches?
From your perspective, how do defensive coaches usually go about developing the offensive scheme to implement onto their team?
I think as a defensive coach, you're talking about, when you speak about offensive schemes, just from watching so much film and seeing so many different offenses and seeing, first and foremost, like what hurts you as a defensive coach, you see that it's like, oh, all right, we need to implement these things. I know certain things that put defenses in a bind when it comes to communication, whether that's formations, different type of motion, not just motion, but the varying speeds of the motion, the snap points of when you're doing it. So there's a lot of different things that can put a defense in a bind when you talk about communicating. And if guys aren't on the same page, you can end up with a easy throw and catch or an easy run because you put guys in conflict.
Coach, we covered the Commanders, obviously with Laremy going there, and a young quarterback in Jayden. What do you think that's saying for that offense with having Laremy back there to cover his blind side?
That offense will definitely be improved because Laremy is a really good player. It's tough for us to lose Laremy. So you're getting a really good player there in Laremy. You talk about arguably one of the best one-on-one pass protectors, in the NFL. So I think Jayden will definitely benefit from having Laremy protect his blind side.
DeMeco, I'm sorry if you were asked this already, but CJ Gardner-Johnson, what are you getting in him and what attracted to you guys? What attracted you about him too?
Oh, too late, man. I already answered
I know,
that.
I'm sorry.
Too late, man. A lot of CJ, a lot of Philly people want to know.
Yeah, people are sad he left.
I should be asking you guys. You guys are upset he's left, so I'm excited to get him. No, CJ, as I mentioned earlier, man, I feel his passion for the game, his love of football, it jumps off the tape. So I'm excited to work with him. Excited to see, what he brings to our team. Talk about a guy now, Super Bowl experience. So to add guys like that to our team and where we're trying to get to can only enhance all of our guys. Thank you.
So with you obviously choosing Nick Haley, how much of the things that you just mentioned in terms of what you want and how much did he kind of show that in the meetings that you had with him that made you ultimately land with him?
Really excited to add Kaylee to our staff. And with Kaylee having very multiple backgrounds, he's coached on the defensive side, he's coached multiple positions on the offensive side. So he understands what I spoke about of putting defenses in a bind, right? Making it tough on defenses. I think it also helps him, having experience with one of the best coaches in the league, Coach Bill Belichick, also Coach Sean McVay. So he has a wide variety, a wide background where we can go a lot of different ways with the offense. We can really fit the offense to the skill set of our players and put them in the best position to showcase their skill set and really just be able to morph and develop into whatever we need to. He has that capability.
Hey, can I ask you, as a defensive guy, what you think of the tush-push?
It's hard to stop. Tush-push is very hard to stop. Joe Sirianni and the staff there, they've done a really good job of finding a way to gain an advantage, and it's worked really well for them. And it works really well also because of Jayden. I mean, he makes that work. He's such a strong quarterback. He finds the right way to get down and not take a hit. So they've done a really good job with it.
You probably know what the follow-up's going to be.
No, you answer it.
I'll ask you. Where do you think you should be banned?
It's a tough play, and it's hard to penalize a team for doing something really well.
Do you ever prepare for that play when you're facing other teams, or is that really an Eagles thing?
It's really been an Eagles thing, for the most part. Playing the Eagles there in the NFC Championship game a couple years ago, prepare for it then, and trying to strategize and find ways to stop. It's hard to say you can stop it, but I think can you stop it 2 times? That's the key. You can maybe stop it once, but stopping it 2 times is definitely hard.
And ask you about Stephon Diggs. What was your experience like coaching him this year?
Yeah, thank you, man. Working with Stephon, it was a pleasure working with Stephon. He was one of the best competitors I've been around. Brings a ton of great energy to practice. He's a worker. He loves to work. Even being a veteran guy, he shows up every day playing playing hard in practice, and it shows up in the game. Guy you can count on, especially in those third down critical moments. A guy you can count on to make plays for you.
Is that tough seeing him go down, and how did he attack it after that? You know?
Yeah, for me, it's always tough anytime you see any guys go down, and Steph being one of our top players, one of our leaders on the team, seeing him go down non-contact, it was very difficult to see. But I know he's been working hard through the off-season process of getting himself back, ready to go.
And were you guys hoping to bring him back? Or
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we don't want to get rid of good players, so Steph was a good player. It's hard to see him go. Wanted to get him back, but it didn't work out that way. But wishing him well in New England.
In that same vein, you don't want to lose good players. What went into the decision to trade Laremy Tunsil?
Yeah, with trading Laremy, thought it was a move that was beneficial to everyone. At the same time, it was a move where we were able to get some valuable draft picks out of it. And Washington was able to get a really good player as well, so I think it benefited both teams.
What is Washington getting in Tunsil?
Yeah, you get one of the top one-on-one pass protectors in the NFL, so I think you'll definitely benefit Jayden from having a guy who he knows can protect his blind side.
Coach, you mentioned losing Stephon, but Christian Kirk, obviously, what does he bring to your offense?
Yeah, Christian brings an explosive playmaker to our offense. He's fast, he knows how to win in a slot, and he's an easy target for CJ. He knows how to get open, so I'm excited to work with him. He's a guy he's about the work. Like, he's coming in, he's excited to come in and compete and to help us reach our goals, so I'm excited to work with him.
Where's Tank in his recovery?
Yeah, Tank's doing well mentally. Tank is doing really well. He's around the building every day with a huge smile on his face. He's working as hard as anyone as I've seen of trying to get himself back and ready to go. We'll see how that process continues to go, but the main thing is he's doing well mentally. And the physical part, the rehab process, he's putting the work in to put himself in position. Whenever he comes back, he'll be ready to roll. Thank you.
Coach, I'm curious, how the process of, when you have a young quarterback comes in, you're a defensive guy, you've also had a young quarterback. What's it like for a defensive coach to go and kind of study a guy like that? And conversely, when you have a guy like that, how do you help them make sure you have the roster around?
Yeah, Jayden, and he's a dynamic young quarterback. I think Jayden has benefited from playing a ton of football in college. Like, that's the one thing you see. He's played a lot of games, so you can see that experience of just playing the position. You can see why he had such instant success. Right? And I think you guys have a really great one there in Washington. He's hard to defend, also because of his capabilities, not only throwing the football, but anytime he can make it 11-on-11 football and run. Right? So his scramble ability, his athletic ability really sets him apart from a lot of the other young quarterbacks, and I think he has a really, really bright future. To go to the NFC Championship game as a rookie, it says a lot about him. You guys have a great.
Is there anything that you learned this year in terms of how, like with CJ, for example, building around him that that you can apply to some other situation like this? Like, what's the key to helping them grow?
I think the key is with any quarterback, it's surrounding them with the right people. Not just offensive line, but just surrounding them with playmakers on the outside, running backs. So you surround the young quarterbacks with just talent. Also on the defensive side, you want to make it easy on them, have a good defense. And that's what you guys done there in Washington. That's what we're trying to do here in Houston. It was surround a good quarterback, a young quarterback, good defense, playmakers around him, and that'll help them be successful.
Coach, why did you guys seek out Christian Kirk, and what does he bring to the table for you guys offensively?
I've answered this question about 8 times, but it's all good. Christian is an explosive player. Really watching Christian from back in his Arizona days, he brings explosiveness, he brings speed, he brings the ability to win on third down. So I'm excited to work with him.
How much is the division changing? You guys obviously have won it the last couple of years, but obviously Jacksonville, Liam, and the quarterback situations around the league. How much do you keep an eye on that part of it?
Yeah, I'm always watching for what's going on around the league, especially in our division. Like coaches that are being hired, players, acquisitions. So always looking, keeping my eye out for what we have to look, who we have to defend, who we have to try to attack. So Liam is a really good coach. He did a really great job in Tampa with that offense. You can see, just some of his creative ideas that he brought to the game to make some explosive plays. Did a really great job with Baker. So, Jacksonville, he'll do the same, with Trevor. So it's going to be tough. We're getting some really good coaches in our league with Callahan, Liam, also Shane. You got, 3 really great offensive-minded coaches that know how to move the ball and score points. So making it hard on a defensive coach here.
DeMeco, on the tight end position, do you feel like you guys could get more out of the group that you have? That it could be more and more production? Maybe does Nick obviously has a background with tight ends? How do you feel like that could go?
With our tight end group, I'm really excited to see Brevin and what Brevin will bring this year. I thought he was on track to have a really great year last year. Unfortunate injury that happened to him in the game. It just shows how tough Brevin is. He played through the entire game. You didn't even know he was injured until after the game. But he's having a really good offseason. He's putting the work in. He's there every day. And I'm excited to see what he brings and see his growth. Brevin's still a young player, so I'm excited to see Nick and what he can do to improve Brevin's game, Dalton, and also Kay. With his background with the tight ends, I think he can take it to the next level. Him working with Coach Moreland, I think it's going to be a really good group for us.
DeMeco, obviously, the blindside protector is one of the most important positions for a quarterback. Did you all have to, hey, we're making this with CJ, hey, we're making it straight, but we have a plan in place? Did you all have to explain to him, or did you just, how did that go in particular?
Yeah, when we make a move like that, it's me, Nick, and myself making a decision, and it's always in the best interest of our team, right? And it's hard. Everyone sees it happens. Of course, it's hard. You lose one of your starters, one of your top players. You lose it. It's hard to lose, right? And Laremy has been an integral part of our team. He's been a captain for us these past 2 years as well. So it's hard losing him. But for us, being in the position we're in, we have to make those tough decisions. We have to make those tough calls. And we know we're doing it in a move to make our team better.
When you look at the potential of an 18-game schedule, from a coach's standpoint, obviously a former player, what are your thoughts on if the league does decide to eventually go to 18 games, only 2 preseason games?
From playing in the league, when I played 16, that was a long season. So to play 17 is long, 18 just adding more games. It's definitely harder on the players. Right? You think about the guys, and if you see what guys go through on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis, just to get ready for football games, adding another game is definitely going to be hard on the players. Not my decision to make, but just from my perspective and what these guys have to go through and what they put their bodies through, it'll be really tough to ask the guys to go do another one.
Would losing a preseason game from a coaching standpoint, would that do a lot in terms of how you're looking at constructing your roster, the opportunities, maybe some guys you got on the back end of the 6th, 7th round picks, or do you feel like by that point you've got a pretty good idea and it wouldn't matter all that much losing that game?
Yeah, preseason, training camp is about, really building your team, finding training camp is great for a lot of young guys to develop. And so we need as much training camp, getting those guys in actual games. I think it helps our young guys a lot. The veterans, those guys have done it. So not so much for the veteran players. We get that done in our joint practices. But for our younger players, they really need the preseason to help improve their game.
When you are negotiating a trade with the Eagles, like you guys did, and there's some unknown, you might want to know why they're willing to give up CJ. They would want to know why they're willing to give up Kenyon. Does your relationship with the Eagles help? Is there some truth there?
Howie isn't calling me to make trades, so I get a lot of Eagles questions today, but it's no, I'm not talking to Howie. Just Nick and Howie are working those deals out, but. For the Eagles, you guys getting a good young player in Kenyon. I think his best ball is ahead of him. Getting a change of scenery will definitely help him. And, we're getting CJ, who I feel like is a really talented safety, and there's a need for us to improve our safety position, and CJ definitely fits that need.
Thank you.
Speaking of trades, I cover Washington. How are you guys able to keep that trade
so under wraps. It seemed like nobody had any clue. How long now did you kind of have a sense that could go down? You guys might trade Laremy.
Well, we don't. We want to make sure everything is under wraps. We don't want to just tell everybody, show everyone our hand anytime, any acquisitions and things we're doing. We'll keep that close to the vest as possible. That's myself and Nick talking through those discussions, so no one else knew about it.
When you think about the offensive line for like a rookie making the jump from college to the pros, what kind of challenges does a rookie offensive lineman have? And then what's your willingness to have a guy maybe play a position that he didn't play in college at the pro level?
Yeah, that's a great question. The biggest challenge, I think, for an offensive lineman making a jump to the NFL is the D lineman you're going against. It's a ridiculous amount of talent at the speed, the physicality of the defensive line has changed. You're going against, especially the interior rushers. There is some, and it's every down. And most D lines now, you're trying to rotate 8 guys, and O lineman you don't get a break. So it's tough for guys. Guys have to be mentally definitely strong to, if you get beat, like how do you come back? O-line is the one position that doesn't rotate. They're not leaving the field, so to have that competitive fortitude to just stick with it down after down, it takes a lot for a young O-lineman, and it's going in training camp, right? You have to prepare. You got to put the pads on. You got to work against quality D-linemen in training camp. You got to go through those one-on-one periods to improve your game, right? And that's the thing I always speak on is iron sharpening iron. So if we get a young offensive lineman, whatever position, tackle, guard, like you're going to go against some top talented guys, and hopefully it should make you better and more prepared for when you start the season.
On the note of the defensive linemen, are you noticing, because I know the strength of this year's draft class, like specifically first round, people are talking about the defensive tackles. Is that becoming a more prioritization for pass rushers at the college level going into the NFL? Like I know we made such a big deal about edge rushers, but like it seems like a penetrating 3 technique is becoming just as valuable to an NFL team.
And for me, all 4 guys are as valuable, but the interior D linemen are most effective because of the quick pressure on the quarterback. So you get a 3 technique who can beat a guard very quickly, and you put pressure at the quarterback's lap as soon as he's dropping back. I feel like sometimes that impacts the quarterback a lot more than the edge rushers who have to run the hoop, so to speak, around the tackle. So you're seeing this year's draft class, you're seeing a lot more explosive young interior defensive linemen who will definitely impact the draft.
Why do you think that is? Like just in terms of like why we're seeing more now?
Yeah, I think it's more now because the game has definitely changed over the years. It's more passing in college football. So with the more passing that's happening, you're not seeing more of the bigger run stuffing, nose tackles who just have to hold one gap. God, you have to be athletic enough to run the quarterbacks down. As quarterbacks are scrambling and running a lot more, so you can't have D tackles who are just playing the run. You got to be able to do multiple things. So that's being stout versus the run, but also having that quickness and explosive twitch speed to go chase down the quarterbacks.
I know you talked about having the importance of having one voice in the offensive line. What do you feel like you all learned from last year, and how are the moves or the changes you all are making? How can you ensure that you all have improvement in particular with the offensive line?
Yeah, having one voice with Cole Popovich. Cole's a good O-line coach. And the thing for me is having an offensive coordinator and O-line coach in tandem. So Cole and Kaylee, they've worked together before. They spent a lot of time together before. So just the flow of information is it's sped up drastically. We're not trying to see how we're going to do things. We know how we're going to do it, and now our players will get that communication to be clear, to be direct, and now our guys can go out and really execute exactly what we're asking them to do.
Perspective, hired offensive coordinator in 3 years. Both of them have been pass game coordinators prior. What is about that pass game coordinator role that gives credence that they could be a good play caller? What is about that particular role that makes them attractive as a candidate?
Yeah. It's just happened that way where it's been pass game coordinators, but I think with the pass game coordinators, their input on the game of actually studying whether it's situations, it's third down, 2 minutes. Those guys help put together the game plan when it comes to the passing game, which is one of the most critical parts of our game. So guys who coordinate that, and they've had a chance to, kind of poke holes in the different route concepts, formations. Like, they've spent the work and time of doing that, so they have a very broad view of the offense from that passing game perspective. And now you add in an O-line coach who can help with the run game, and then you marry both together. But I think that just passing game, being able to call the game, they've seen it, right? They've heard it from the coordinators they've been with, seen how they've done it. Now they probably have seen things that they weren't able to call, but hey, I would have done this differently. So I think it helps from having that background of working in the passing game.
DeMeco, we always hear about it for young quarterbacks, going from that first year to the second year is a big challenge. The league has, tape on it, things like that. You've been on both sides as a coordinator as well as last year with CJ. What is that year like for that young quarterback going from rookie year to, okay, now everybody kind of has a better feel for what you and the team are about?
Yeah, the tough part for a rookie going into that second year is everyone now has a year of film on you. And so now as teams are going in, they have a lot more film to study and see kind of what the nuances you have and certain things that you kind of favor, where it's a particular side or, what type of plays that you like, so you can kind of hone in on those and try to attack his weaknesses from that perspective. So it's a little more challenging that second year because everybody's kind of catching up to you. The rookie year is easier because there's a lot of unknown, and it's hard to prepare for unknowns as a defensive player. So it's a lot more work that a second-year quarterback has to put in, and those guys put the work in, they can continue to have that same success.
What's that line between that?
Knowing Kenyon Green and having been around Jeff Stoutland for a little while, how do you think that marriage is going to work?
Yeah, Jeff has done a really great job with all the offensive linemen that he's been able to develop. He's a phenomenal coach, one of the best coaches in the NFL. So excited to see how Kenyon continues to develop working with Coach Stoutland.
From your time with him, what does he need to improve most?
Say it again?
From Kenyon's time with you.
I think Kenyon working with Coach Stoutland, Kenyon will be just fine. Kenyon's a young guy, talented player, physical player. He's just working with Coach Stoutland will be great for him.
Two-part question, Nico. One regarding you, and this is now your third year, you've had success, you've been in the playoffs. How much better do you feel with now you've had the experience being in the head coaching seat? Do you feel like you're growing, you're getting better, or do you feel like you're getting better?
For me, I'm never comfortable. I'm not getting comfortable. I'm always, on edge, always working to get better, improve our team, right? Improve the entire roster of our team, right? And improve my coaching, my communication to make sure we can, get back in the playoffs again and make another run. But it doesn't just happen just because you've done it before. It takes a lot of work to get there, and I'm not afraid of the work to put it in and get there again.
And toward that goal, do you feel like the team is on paper? Do you feel like you guys obviously dangerous on paper? Show the Sundays, but I think you guys are
nothing matters on paper. It's all about what you do when the ball is snapped, right? You want to, of course, as you're formulating a team, you want to have as deep a roster as you can possibly have. None of that matters. It matters when the ball is snapped. Are your guys making the plays that they should make, and are you putting them in position to make plays?
We'll take these last two right here and then
Okay.
get out.
Back to the tush-push rule. Do you favor banning it, or are you okay with leaving the play in the game?
With the tush-push, credit to Coach Sirianni and his staff for putting a play out there that's very, very difficult to defend. It's hard to defend, and it's hard to, penalize the team for doing something well, but also it's hard to stop. We have to look at it and see at the end of the day, like, what's the player health and safety that is involved in the game? Are there injuries that are impacted? Are we putting guys at more risk for the injury? That's what will determine, I think, for if we need to get rid of the player.
Last one right here.
Yeah, Coach, we've seen a lot of dynamic pass rushes in the playoffs. What's been the key for you all building out the pass rush for the Texans? One of the top tacklers in the league.
Yeah, for us building out our pass rush, it starts with the people that you have, first and foremost, right? Having dynamic guys on the outside, which we have in Anderson and Hunter, and also the interior guys. And it's about 4 guys rushing together for me. And whatever we do, whatever game plan we have or strategy, it doesn't matter unless all 4 guys are working together with that pass rush. And that's what our guys have done a great job of, working together. And our D-line coach, Coach Rod Wright, has done a great job of getting those guys on the same page and getting those guys to execute at a high level.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.